In this video, I will be ranking every Madden cover athlete from worst career to best since 2001. Best careers can be subjective, just know I thought about their peak, productivity, longevity, success, and overall impact to the game. I will only count the standard issue athletes, so deluxe or pre-orders or overseas editions won't count. Considering this list has 25 entries, I probably won't get to everything, so if there's something big that I missed, let me know in the comments. An honorable mention quickly goes to John Madden, the man behind the name. He would grace the cover of not only Madden 23, but every single one before 2001. I decided to leave him here as an honorable mention just because he wasn't necessarily a player, and how could I not bring him up to pay tribute to the face behind the endless hours of my childhood. With that being said, let's go ahead and go to the obvious number 25 on our list, Payton Hillis. There's no surprise that he's at the bottom of the list. He was traded to Cleveland before 2010 after 2 uneventful seasons with Denver and had the run that put him on the map. 1,654 scrimmage yards and 13 total touchdowns. The breakout was so out of nowhere that when it came time to vote for the cover athlete, NFL fans rallied behind the best thing to happen to Cleveland since 1999. I'm talking football, ladies and gentlemen. He's at the bottom of the list because he's the only one that was a one-year wonder. At 24, we have Vince Young. When he came into the league in 2006, there was a ton of buzz behind him. He showcased what he could do in his rookie year, guiding the Titans to a winning record and earned a Pro Bowl nod as well as Offensive Player of the Year. I have a full breakdown of Young's career in this video right above, but in summary, Young was terrible in 07, and he was a backup in 08 before having a small resurgence in 2009, but ultimately, he'd fizzle out of the league by 2012. So not a one-year wonder like Hillis, but he definitely had more negatives than positives. At 23, we have Dante Cozart. He would be just the second player to grace the cover of Madden back in the 2002 edition, and for a time was even considered a top 10 quarterback. The downside to Cozart was that when he was bad, he was bad. 2005 was setting up to be one of those bad seasons before tearing 3 ligaments in his knee, thus ending his season and eliminating his upside that was his running ability. He would bounce around the league before being out entirely after 2009. But one thing you can never take from Culpepper was that little spinning arm thing that he used to do. I always tried to do that, and every single time I just slapped my wrists around. I don't know how he did it perfectly every single time. Maybe I'm just uncoordinated. I don't know. Now at 22, we do have Odell Beckham Jr. When OBJ was drafted in 2014, he took the league by storm, winning Rookie of the Year and going to 3 straight Pro Bowls. Unfortunately, he took this cursed photo and was never the same. He would fracture his ankle in 2017, tear his ACL in 2020, tear his ACL again in the 2021 season in the Super Bowl no less, and could never reach the heights of his first 3 seasons. Today, OBJ isn't retired yet, but at 32 and being cut by Miami halfway through last year, it might be it for the Madden 16 cover athlete. Alright, this is kind of where we're going to get into the more modern players. They're really a little bit lower because their careers are still active, so they could very well climb this list. And one of these examples is Christian McCaffrey. When healthy, he is one of the best backs in the league. McCaffrey's a 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time First Team All-Pro, and a former Offensive Player of the Year. But he also has 3 seasons where he's combined to play for 14 total games. Most recently, he missed most of 2024 and is going into his age 29 season. What's going in his favor though is that he is in the perfect offense, so he can bounce back and absolutely climb this list. Rounding out our top 20, we have Michael Vick. Oh my god, it feels like a crime putting him this low. Look, if you're old enough to remember, Vick was the funnest player to play with in those mid-2000 games, with nothing overcoming his 2004 Madden edition. I can't tell you how many times I picked him. I did fantasy, put him on my Bengals, and just I'm giving myself nostalgia, so I hate putting him this low. Until Lamar Jackson came along, Vick was dubbed as the greatest running quarterback in NFL history. His time in Atlanta was so fun to watch that many current players say Vick was their favorite guy growing up. After gracing the cover for the 2004 edition, he would be injured for the 2003 edition, which, in case you guys didn't know, the Madden cover athlete counts for the year prior. So if you're 2004, the next season that they're going to play is 2003. Just remember that from here on outward. Anyway, he was injured for the 2003 season and he wouldn't return until week 13. Things would take a downhill spiral in 2007 when he'd be arrested on dogfighting charges, where he wouldn't be released until 2009. By then, Atlanta had already drafted Matt Ryan, so Vick would end up signing with Philly and did revitalize his career. He became a Pro Bowler in 2010, but by 2012 was a shell of his former self as injuries began to really pile up. On the field, he is a legend in the game, but his prime was way too short-lived to be any higher. Donovan McNab comes next at number 19. He's one of the more underrated quarterbacks of his era. He went to 6 Pro Bowls, made 5 NFC Conference Championship games, and made a Super Bowl. Although the Eagles lost by a narrow margin, it was this season that gave McNab the honor of being the cover athlete for the 2006 edition. And unfortunately, things went downhill from there. McNab would suffer the infamous Madden curse. He would immediately deal with injuries, as well as his relationship with Terrell Owens disintegrating. The team would finish 6-10, with McNab ending on IR. He would remain with the team until 2009, and after back-to-back ass whoopings by Tony Romo's Cowboys, would be traded to the Redskins in 2010, where his career was all but done for. All things considered, McNab did have a great career. He's tied with Jim Kelly for the most playoff wins by a quarterback who's never won a Super Bowl, and currently owns many of the Eagles' quarterback records. He even has his number 5 retired. Coming in at 18, we have our inaugural Madden cover athlete, Eddie George. Now, some would say Dorsey Levens is the actual first player, but that was in European releases, so that doesn't count. When he graced the cover, George was coming off of a Super Bowl run in 1999, where the Titans were literally 1 yard away from winning. While he was with the Titans, he never had a bad season. He spent 8 years with them, and if it wasn't for 61 yards in 2001, he could claim that he rushed for 1,000 yards in all 8 of them. He was a first and second team All-Pro at some points in his career and showed out in that 1999 playoff run. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the numbers or the longevity to place any higher though on this list. At 17, we have another running back that has pretty much been forgotten, all things considered. At one point, Shaun Alexander was one of the best running backs in the NFL, and then he vanished. Alexander would become the starter for Seattle in 2001 and had one of the greatest 5-year stretches of his era. From 2001 to 2005, Alexander would never rush below 1,175 yards or rush for less than 14 touchdowns. This all culminated in his 2005 season, where for a very short time held the rushing touchdown record with 27 to go along with 1,880 rushing yards. He'd win MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and was first team All-Pro. He'd grace the cover of the 2007 Madden edition, my personal favorite Madden, FYI. But it was 2005 that would signal the end of his tenure at the top. He would break his foot in week 3 and failed to reach 1,000 yards or those 14 touchdowns for the first time since 2000. He lasted just 2 more seasons in the league and could just never recover. His 2005 campaign elevates him tremendously, as he's one of the few non-quarterbacks to win MVP. At 16, I have Josh Allen. Currently, he is on pace to climb this list, but is only at 16 due to the rest of the list having either a longer career, the best or one of the best at their position all time, or deep playoff run success. I will give him credit. He's only 29 and already has an MVP, 3 Pro Bowls, and 2 second-team All-Pros. If he can win another MVP or win a Super Bowl, he will jet into the top 12 at least. At 15, I have Richard Sherman. Now, to everyone that is questioning why he's so high, hear me out. Sherman was one of the top shutdown corners of his era, and it was a huge part in the famous Legion of Boom defense. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time first-team All-Pro, a 2-time second-team All-Pro. Between 2012 and 2016, Sherman and the defense never ranked lower than 5th in the NFL. With 2 Super Bowl appearances and winning one of them, it's not hard to see why he was an easy choice to grace the cover of Madden in the Madden 15 version. And at 14, we have Antonio Brown. Between 2011 and 2018, he was a 7-time Pro Bowler and had over 1,100 receiving yards in 7 out of the 8 seasons during the stretch. But the biggest problem was that he was a headache. He ran himself out of Pittsburgh after 2018, then had a disastrous offseason in 2019 with the Raiders and the Patriots before landing in Tampa in 2020. He would win a Super Bowl, but his career was over in 2021 when he'd walk out on the Bucs midway through a game against the Jets. Talent-wise, he should be higher, but career was shortened with off-the-field issues, which is why I can't put him any higher than 14. At 13, we have another Steeler in Troy Polamalu. He would share the cover with Larry Fitz in the 2010 edition, more on him later, after both of their teams went to the Super Bowl in 2008. Polamalu wreaked havoc in the NFL, striking fear into anyone running in the middle, tallying up 8 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, and even winning Defensive Player of the Year. Him and Ed Reed are usually 1 and 2 as far as the best safeties of the 2000s are concerned, and he's one of the greatest safeties of all time. At 12, we have Lamar Jackson. Now, I give Lamar Jackson a hard time because, hooday, but he is one of the best of this generation. He is the greatest. He is the greatest dual threat quarterback of all time. He is only going into his 8th season and is already a 2-time MVP, a 4-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time first team All-Pro, and the cover of the Madden 2021 edition. I mean, damn it, this past season, he threw 41 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions, yet no one's talking about it, and I don't know why. If he were to at least make a Super Bowl or have one more MVP, I guarantee you Lamar would catapult on this list. And at 11, I don't know if it's controversial, but the man certainly is, and that is Brett Favre. Say what you want about him now, but when he was on the field back in the day, he was the Iron Man. He would help Green Bay win Super Bowl 31, won 3 MVPs back-to-back no less, and when he retired, he held the passing yards and passing touchdown record. But what I think Favre is best known for is the fact that he started every single game from 1992 until 2010. That is 297 consecutive starts. No one is going to break that record for a very, very long time. His 2009 cover was a long time coming. Many thought he would go out on top as he retired the same year, but came out of retirement and then traded to the Jets, but it still performed at a high level at the very end. Alright, we are now getting into the top 10. All of these guys are either in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame. At number 10, we have Marshall Faulk. Now, this one is a bit nostalgic for me as the Madden 2003 edition was the very first one that I genuinely played. It's the one where my older brothers created me a profile that said Big Head. They had their actual names and then I was Big Head. I'm sorry for trauma dumping, but it's what I remember. I'm just glad I can remember it fondly. Anyway, he is the greatest receiving back in NFL history and a top 10 running back all time. He was MVP in 2000 and between 1998 and 2001 ran over 1,300 yards and caught over 80 passes every single year. He was the engine of the greatest show on turf. His early years were great, his peak was phenomenal, and when he retired in 2005, he was one of the greatest of all time. At number 9, we have Calvin Johnson. Beginning in 2010, he was always a Pro Bowler. He was a 3-time first-team All-Pro, with his peak coming in 2012, where he had 1,964 receiving yards, a record that still stands to this day, and that's considering the NFL has 17 games now played since, I think it was 2021? I could be wrong on that. He's a top 3 receiver in terms of talent, but lands at just number 9 for playing in only 9 seasons and being saddled with the Lions, who couldn't make the playoffs during this era to save their lives. At number 8, we have Larry Fitzgerald. Currently, he ranks 2nd in receptions and receiving yards all time, 6th in all-time receiving touchdowns, and is a huge part as to why Arizona made the Super Bowl in the first place in 2008. He played all of his 17 years with the Cardinals, made 12 Pro Bowls, and shared the cover with Polamalu for the 2010 edition. Fitz will go down as one of the greatest wideouts of all time, and outside of maybe Jerry Rice, no one in the history of the league had better hands than Fitz. I want to say that there's a stat out there somewhere that he had more tackles than he did drops in the NFL. And if that's true, my God, maybe I should put him a little bit higher. At number 7, we have Adrian Peterson. He gets the edge over Fitz due to his pure dominance in the late 2000s and early 2010s. 2012 was his best year. He carried a relatively bad Minnesota team to the playoffs, becoming one of only 9 players to ever rush over 2,000 yards, winning MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. He still holds the record for most rushing yards in a game as well, with 297, and his career lasted 17 years, which is extremely rare for a running back. And I'd personally rank him in the top 5 of greatest running backs to ever play this game. Just outside the top 5, we have Rob Gronkowski. All right. This one might be controversial, but you know what? Let's go ahead and get into it. Simply put, he is the greatest tight end in NFL history. Yes, over Gonzalez. Yes, over Kelsey. Prime Gronk was unstoppable. He would win 3 Super Bowls with New England, retire in 2019, then unretire to win another one with the Tampa Bay Bucks in the 2020 season. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler and 4-time first-team All-Pro. You can fight me on that or fight with a wall. I really don't care. Now, going into our top 5, this guy is widely considered to be the greatest middle linebacker in NFL history, and that is Ray Lewis. Lewis would strike fear into NFL offenses, being part of one of the greatest defenses in NFL history too, that being the 2000 Ravens. He earned 12 Pro Bowls, 7 first-team All-Pros, 2 Defensive Player of the Years, and was a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's widely considered to be the greatest middle linebacker of all time, and outside of Lawrence Taylor, some argue he's the greatest linebacker, period. At number 4, we have the one and only Drew Brees. He is only behind Brady in most passing categories. Brees has 5 seasons with over 5,000 passing yards, 13 Pro Bowls, an Offensive Player of the Year in 2008, and is a Super Bowl champion in that same season. He would grace the cover of the 2011 edition and would follow that up with 5 straight Pro Bowls, so no curse here. Brees has all of the stats that you can imagine, but his lack of rings and better quarterbacks all time hold him out of the top 3. All right, in our top 3, I hate it. Hate putting this guy in the top 3, but I have to. At number 3, we have Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to glaze all over his stats because you guys, for the most part, know. Since becoming the starter in 2018, he has made every single AFC championship game. He's won 5 of them and has won 3 Super Bowls. He's a 2-time MVP, has an 89-23 record, and Mahomes is on pace to be the greatest ever. But he'll have to keep it going for at least another decade. At number 2, we have Barry Sanders. He is, in my opinion, the greatest running back of all time. Greater than AP, greater than Walter Payton, greater than Emmitt Smith. I think Barry Sanders is the greatest of all time. He played in 10 seasons and was a Pro Bowler in each and every one. His worst rushing season was still 1,115 yards, and he rushed for over 1,300 in every single other. Every season, he was either a first or second team All-Pro. He was too elusive, too quick. He's up there with Jerry Rice, Lawrence Taylor, and number 1 on our list as an all-time team. But even with a Super Bowl or 2, I could not put Barry Sanders above number 1. At number 1, we have Tom Brady. 7 Super Bowl wins, 3 MVPs, career leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns. Tom Brady was good at 23. Tom Brady was good at 43. Maybe some say Montana, maybe some say Mahomes. For me, it's Brady. That's why he's number 1 on this list. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Who did I rank too high or too low? I'd love to see what your opinions are in the comments down below. Shout out to my one and only member. Thank you so much for believing in this channel through and through. You really the GOAT for real, next to Brady. Until next time, love you guys. Shaboy!